Determining if an equation is conditional, an identity, or a contradiction can be a challenge. So we're going to start just by looking at traditional definitions of these words in the regular world and then apply those ideas to our solved equations and what that would look like. So in general, a conditional statement is subject to, implying, or depending on a condition. So, like a promise that has a condition to it. Say you have a job, you just get a job, and they say, we will give you a raise in 3 months if you show up on time, you don't call out, you turn out to be a good employee. So that raise is conditional upon you showing up on time, being a good employee for the first 3 months of your work. That's a conditional regular English sentence. An identity. The definition of an identity is who you are, the way you think about yourself, the way you are viewed by the world, and the characteristics that define you. An example of identity is a person's name. An example of identity are the traditional characteristics of an American. So, one way we can think about this is I'm going to talk about myself. My first name is Lisa. I am the same person if you call me Lisa or if you call me Mrs. Taverna. You could even call me by my middle name, Leilani. All those are my name, but when you call me by any of those, you're still talking about me. So Lisa is equal to Leilani or equal to Mrs. Taverna in that case, or Jackson. Yes, we haven't gotten that changed through the school yet, but that is the idea of identity. Contradiction. A contradiction is a statement of a position that's opposite of something you've already made. So if I say I only like blue frogs, and then I say my favorite frog is green, something's not right. It's not making sense, right? So when there's a contradiction, your brain will go, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. So those are our English language examples of these things. When it comes to math, these classifying, we're talking about equations and specifically solving equations. So when you solve an equation, you are saying this sentence, this math sentence is true if. So on a conditional math sentence, an equation, once it's been solved, would be true if. In that case, we're saying that this equation is true if the value for x is 7. Or you could say if the value for x is a group of numbers, 7 or more, anything above 7. We know that this means if I had a number like 2, 2 does not satisfy what your equation was. It doesn't make the sentence of that equation true. So it doesn't satisfy the condition that your x has to be 7 or bigger. An identity then, once you've solved an equation that's an identity, you get something strange like this or this. Is there any time that 23 does not equal 23? Or x, whatever x represents in that equation, is going to equal itself. That's an identity. So both sides of your equal sign would be the exact same. You'd be getting there if you had like 2x plus 3 equals 2x plus 3. Notice everything's exactly the same on both sides of that equal sign, both sides of that equation. So that is an identity, exactly the same on both sides. Contradiction, that's when I say I only like, what did I say, blue frogs, and then I say my favorite frog is green. So a contradiction is when your brain goes, wait a minute. So a contradiction could look like 7 equals 23. It could look like -5 equals +5. Not true. The problem here is you could solve this thing and get a x equals 6. You can't tell that's a contradiction, and that is why part of the process of solving an equation is to take what your answer is and put it back in the equation to make sure it's true. if you've gotten something like this and you put it back into the equation and it comes out with a 7 equals 23, you know that x equals 6 was a contradiction. But basically, a conditional statement would be x equals one number or a group of numbers. An identity statement would be a number equals itself or x equals itself. And a contradiction would be a number is equal to a completely different number. So those are our basics for these. I hope that helps clear things up. I'm making another video that has some actual solved problems where we then go and decide what they are.